What is up, party people? It's your girl, Sean Sunflower, and I am here with a tutorial. I'm gonna be showing you all how I made this really cute sugar Zaddy robe. Yeah. Materials that we're going to need to make our sugar daddy robe. You're going to need a pattern. I'm using pattern 8800 by Simplicity, and I'm going to be using the longer version. You'll need some mesh fabric. You can get this fabric from Joann's. You can get it from Walmart, whatever color you choose, but I'm going to be using black. I love this mesh fabric because it's stretchy. Honey, stretchy fabric is a fat girl's best friend. You're gonna need a pair of scissors. Scissors. You're going to need a needle and some thread in your sewing machine, as well as for some hand sewing. You will definitely need lots and lots of straight pins, baby. And the last thing that you're going to need are some feather boas. Yes, they are going to make your sugar daddy robe fabulous, darling. Now, I opted for the more extravagant ones with the feathers and the tinsel, but baby beware, because these things shed like crazy. So first we're going to start by cutting out all of the pieces from the pattern that we'll be using. You'll need number 15, that's your back piece. You'll also need number 13. That's what you're going to use to cut out your front pieces for the front of the robe. And then the last part you're going to need is number 17. This is going to be your sleeve. All right, so begin by taking piece number 15, that's your front piece. You're gonna lay it down on the fabric and then cut it out. So when you cut, you're going to need 2 of these. I would recommend taking them one at a time as opposed to trying to cut both at the same time, because one is going to end up a lot bigger than the other one. Just trust me on this one. Anyway, you don't have to cut a seam allowance into the fabric because it's already built into the pattern. Next, you're going to cut the back piece. So you can't see the pattern because it's underneath of the material. But when you're cutting the back piece, there's a straight edge on the back. And what you do is you fold the fabric in half and align that straight edge with the pattern. So that way you're not cutting 2 pieces of fabric and sewing them down the middle to create the back. You're simply creating the one large piece by folding the fabric in half and then cutting it out. The last thing that we're going to need to cut is the sleeve. So with the sleeve, you're actually going to fold the fabric and the pattern in half. And what I did was I took the sleeve and I extended it a little bit further, and I cut it wider than the pattern itself down at the bottom where it's actually going to meet my wrist, because I wanted it to have a drape effect at the edge of the sleeve. So now we're going to lay the back piece flat and position the front pieces on top of the back piece so that we can pin them together. Match the side seams and the shoulder seams, and then pin each of the seams together. With this particular fabric, there is no shiny side or dull side, so it doesn't matter which front piece goes on what side. There's not like a left side front piece or a right side front piece. You can just sew each of them onto or pin them onto the back piece of the fabric and then sew them together. I used a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around the robe. After you've sewn your front and back pieces together, what you'll do is you'll fold your sleeves in half. You're going to pin all the way along the outside edge of the sleeve, and then you're going to sew it together. Okay, y'all, this is the tricky part. When I tell you I had to do this like 2-3 times to make sure I was doing it right. Okay, so you're going to take the robe and flip it inside out and lay it down. But you want your sleeves to be on the correct side. And what you'll do is you'll actually put the sleeve inside of the robe and match up the side seams. So as you can see, the sleeve is on the right side, but the robe is on the wrong side. It sounds weird, but trust me, when you sew it up, it's gonna be right. When you're pinning your sleeves, the easiest way to make sure that the material comes out even all the way around is to pin where the underarm is gonna be first. And then pull the fabric up and pin it at the shoulder seam. And once you have those 2 points together, then pin around it. So that way you don't end up with excess fabric. And once you're finished pinning all the way around the sleeve, then you're going to sew them both onto the robe itself. Now, after you finish sewing all of the pieces together, the last thing you're going to do is to outline the entire robe in the feather boas. So it took me about 4 feather boas to get all the way around the robe and all the way around the sleeves. You're also going to need a piece of satin ribbon, of course, something to tie it closed. I just used an old tie from a dress that I wasn't wearing anymore, and it worked out perfect. Wow. You watched the whole video. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment with what you want to see next.